Welcome back everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you asset pack number 2 of my Photoscanned collection called Seashells. Super excited to share this with you guys. It is available on the Unreal Engine Marketplace, so make sure you go check out those links in the description below after this video. I just want to give you a brief overview of what comes with it and the quality and details that you're going to get with it. So let's get into it. So here we are inside of the Seashells project here. Seashells contains 13 unique seashells that my family and I personally collected over the last couple years. I took those into a controlled lighting environment and photo scanned them in super high detail, high texture, high poly. So you can use it in a close-up shot or even larger environments. If your scene does not look like this and you don't have this, it's because there's a HDRI in this background. And if it's all black, you just need to enable that. So let's hop over to our plugins and just search HDRI and make sure that's enabled. You'll probably need to restart your project. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the overview map. If you go to your content browser and open up the overview map, you'll be greeted with this here. And this is a simple just overview that shows you the different versions of the seashells and a couple other things. So we have our individual shells here, and these are the high poly versions here, and they have been set up with nanite already, but you can see as we get in nice and close. And let me show you another quick little tip while we're looking at it. Come on down to your console command here and type in near clip. And you'll see r.setNearClip.plane, and let's set that to 0. That'll allow us to get in a lot closer without the camera clipping through our objects. Just a quick little tidbit there. So these shells are actually done to scale, so they range anywhere between about 2 to 4 inches in actual size. So sometimes you need to turn on that near clip to 0, otherwise it's very difficult to get down and look at them. So let's zoom in here and you can take a look and you can see how detailed these little seashells actually are. They're very high poly, super small. Let's switch over to our wireframe here. And you can see, since they're nanite enabled, you're going to see them adjust as I move far away. But if we get in here, you can see how dense these actual models are for really good detail, really great looking close-up shots. Let's switch back on over to Lumen here. So each one of these runs close to about 100K polys or so. We have our low poly versions over here. So these run anywhere between about 10 and 15K. I didn't want to go too low on them only because you start to lose a lot of the details in the ridges and the little pits and stuff since they are pretty small. Let's switch to wireframe here and you can take a look at those. So they're still nanite enabled. So as you move farther away, they will kind of adjust on you a little bit. And this would be a nice, easy way if you're going to be doing a larger environment and you just kind of want to spread these out in a bigger area. And the next example here is the actual pearl coat. So let's go ahead and dive on into the material here. I'm going to select this one and jump on in. So let me show you the actual master material. Everything's built off of a single master material. Let me open this up here. It's cleanly commented, and you can see if you decide you need to make any adjustments in here, you can. However, everything is material instance for easy functionality out of the box. So we have up here our pearl coat, our normal diffuse. There's a roughness, normal, and of course your metallic and specular levels. So we'll show you a little bit here of the actual pearl coat, which is pretty cool. As you know, a lot of shells kind of have a pearl or iridescent kind of look to it. So in this example, let me minimize this here. You can see this is a shell with no pearl coat added to it. Just pretty simple, nice, shiny, glossy. And this one here has our pearl coat to it. So you can see there's a little bit of a color sheen to it. And as you move the camera around, that sheen actually changes and moves a little bit. It's a really cool effect, and I think it matches a lot of the seashells that you actually find. So let's dive in a little bit deeper into the materials here. So let's go ahead and dive in a little deeper into the material here, and I can show you what all is available for you. So under the material instance here, we have our typical setup of actual diffuse and albedo settings. So there is a diffuse power, which kind of adjusts the brightness and darkness of the actual diffuse. You have a hue shift. So let's go ahead and boost up our saturation a little bit here. Let's not go too crazy, but you can actually do a hue shift. So if you want to get some different colors than what is in the actual diffuse, you can easily do that. Let's also take a look. There is a contrast slider here. So if you want to have a darker contrast or a lighter contrast, you can easily do that. We also have our saturation as we showed. There's a metallic level and a specular level. I do have the metallic level slightly turned up. I feel like these seashells kind of have a metallic-y look, not necessarily actual metal, but I think it does help the effect pretty well. You can see as I turn that up how it kind of gives a more seashell look to it, I suppose. Next, we have our specular level. These are all set to a standard 0.5, so if you feel you need to adjust that, you can. Next, we also have our diffuse tint. So if you decided you wanted to give the entire shell a particular color, you could easily do that for some sort of abstract reason. Onto our normals. I have taken most of the normal maps and I've taken them down to about a 0.5 in the power range. You could definitely boost this up to 1.5 if you wanted to. I felt like 0.5 gave it a little bit of a bump, but more of a smooth look to it that you kind of get with a seashell. But definitely play with that value. Next, we have our pearl coat, and let's jump down to our roughness value here. So I have the roughness value turned down to like a 0.3. Gives it a nice glossy feel, glossy look. Some seashells aren't quite as glossy, so you'll see that value has changed amongst a few of the different seashells in the pack. Now, let's go ahead and turn on the pearl coat. So we're going to check this box here and turn on our pearl coat, turn on the features here. And so what the pearl coat does is there's a blend value and an initial pearl color. So this color range doesn't actually mean it's only going to be that color. It just kind of affects the area that it's going to be adjusting from. So let's go ahead and set our blend up just a little bit here. And you can see in our material instance and on the shell as the material starts to come in. Now you want to fine tune this. You want to be careful with it, not get too crazy, because literally it can start to overtake the actual diffuse color. So you don't want to get too crazy with it. You just want to kick it in just a little bit. And you can see here as I change the color, some of that will adjust a little bit. And it's kind of based on the actual brightness value, or saturation. So the more saturated, the deeper the pearl is, less saturated it is. It's more of just a subtle look. And I think it looks pretty good there. Another quick thing I want to share with you here, I hopped back into the showcase level, is the actual material that is used for the seashells is based on subsurface profile. So the seashells actually do have a subsurface to them. It's built more for path tracing than it is for lumen. So you can adjust those values, and I'll show you quickly how to do that after this. But I have it set up for path tracing because I think path tracing does a much better job of actual subsurface. So let me show you here in the seashell. You can see as I get kind of in behind the sun here, and as it calculates the path tracing, you can see we get nice subsurface kind of passing through the actual seashell itself, which is really cool. Seashells are slightly translucent anyways, a lot of them are. So that subsurface really just gives an added touch of realism. You can always take that down or disable it if you want to, especially for larger scenes that you won't necessarily need that in. So let me just show you real quick here. If I hop into the material here and I go under the master material, and here on the left side panel, as long as you're clicked on nothing, you'll see your subsurface profile set up here. And you can double click that and adjust these two values here, your mean free path and your unit scale. If you don't want any subsurface, you could easily just set the unit scale to like 0 and that'll disable it. You can also adjust these values to get them to work a little bit better with lumen. Lumen is kind of cheating its way through subsurface. So path tracing looks really good. So these values are set up for that. Last but not least, let's go ahead and take a look at everything that's included in the asset pack. Hop into our content drawer here. You'll see our seashells folder here. We have a maps, materials, meshes, and textures. The maps folder contains the two different maps, the overview map and this showcase map here. Under materials, we have our material instances, so 1 through 13 of all seashells. In here is also your subsurface profile, so if you decided you want to change that. Under miscellaneous, we do have some other materials here for the bucket and the sand, and I do have an example for the pearl coat there. Let's hop into our meshes folder, and under meshes, we have in the root folder here is all of our high poly nanited seashells. We have our low poly folder here with the lower poly versions, and under miscellaneous we have our bucket and our sand here. And under textures we have our HDRI. So if you decide you want to have the HDRI, you can use that. That is free from Polyhaven. And next you can go into miscellaneous, and under the base, these are base flat profile textures used for the mask material. We have our sand here, sand material textures that you can use if you want to in your own scene. And we also have our seashell textures. So these are all listed out 1 through 13. These seashells come with a diffuse, normal map, and roughness map, all in full 8K resolution. You can always look up some tutorials on how to change those down to 4 or 2K if you don't need them quite that high. So there you have it, the Seashells pack available on the Unreal Engine Marketplace. I'll leave links down in the description for both this and a dedicated page that talks a little bit more about it and shows you some feature images using it. I really appreciate your guys' help and your support. This is a good way to kind of support me and what I do. If you think you can use this in your asset pack, make sure you let me know. Send me pictures. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. You can also check out my Discord channel. I'll leave some links down for that too. You can hop in, ask me questions. I have other tools and things available on the Unreal Marketplace. Make sure you check out the Smooth Stones photogrammetry asset pack. I have my displacer tool, which is awesome. I use that in just about every project I use. And also, if you're into path tracing, I have a glass shader that's built specifically for path tracing. It's super, super cool. So make sure you leave a like, thumbs up, share, comment, all that good stuff. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, peace out.